Alrighty, welcome. Today I'm up on beautiful Gold Coast in Queensland, about 1,000 kilometres north of Sydney, for those of you who don't know. Sorry, joke, I'm sure you do. On a wonderful SACS 42 rib. This is going to be a bit of fun. We've just been for the drone shoot, so I've experienced this boat and how she feels underway from hiding downstairs in the cabin. I'm about to give it a go for myself, and I'm going to bring you guys along with me. A couple of things worth noting. This is a rib with inboard diesels, so perfect for a tender function to your big boat. This is a big boat. She's 42 feet long. She's got a hell of a lot of usable space, and for a boat of this size, it's going to be one of the easiest boats that you can just turn on, get going and operate for the day. So if you're time poor, if you're someone that you know, obviously supporting your other boats, but if you just want to have something to run around, get between your waterfront locations on the harbour in Sydney, for example, or even maybe supporting some you know, sailing yacht operations in Melbourne or other places, this thing would be a really good platform for that, because it is exactly that. It's a big, massive platform, and you'll see that in the walkthrough. So yeah, just subscribe or follow the link in the description below if you want to get to the walkthrough, which we will be filming shortly after this test drive. So the engines themselves, they are a Yamaha diesel, so not Yanmar, Yamaha. We've all heard that name before, but not so much in the diesel world. But what you do need to know is that the parts are interchangeable with Yanmar, and it's Yamaha stern drives which also have interchangeable parts with Mercury or Mercruiser stern drives. So parts are accessible, it's a serviceable boat, runs on diesel. Each engine is 315 horsepower, so it gives us a total of 630 horsepower in total. So I reckon we start to take this thing through its paces and talk to you about what we experience. Got a guy up ahead of me in a small boat, so I'm just going to get in front of him and go wide so I don't be too antisocial here. Just cruising along at 7.5 knots there. The boat's not making any wash at that speed. From the helm position, we've got this flip up bolster here, so if you want a little bit more space to feel your way around the helm, get from port to starboard, it's definitely a single operator style of vessel. So if you wanted your guests to sit down and relax and you know, you wanted them to stay comfortable and not worry about getting involved in the boat operations, they definitely don't need to on a boat like this. Everyone's really nice and well protected. Hopefully this is coming through on the camera, but I've got sunshade from here. This bimini actually extends forward to the targa arch. I guess you're going to call it targa arch, I'm not exactly sure, but the nice stainless steel setup just here forward of the helm, and it goes all the way back to that aft seat just there. So everyone here is nice and well protected, no flapping around, really high quality gear this, so it's it can stay up in the wind. Okay, I'm just increasing my revs somewhat there. Not making any offensive wash yet. You can feel this hull's nice, and you know, obviously her length is coming into play, but it feels slippery, and it doesn't make a great deal of wash because we're doing 9 knots there. And I would have thought at speed like this, a lot of boats will want to start to dig their ass a little bit, but this one's not doing that. The bow is still very low to the horizon. It's not hindering my visibility whatsoever. I'm just pumping up the revs just a little bit now. I've got 9.5 knots. My second wave is still not braking, so that's quite interesting. That's evident of the slipperiness of this hull, which I could see from the drone before. So that's very interesting actually. Now I'm just notching it up over 10 knots, rolling through 10.5, still not making offensive wash, and 11. It feels like we're planing actually. We're at 12.5 knots. That feels like a planing speed. My second wave is still not braking. Wow. That's very interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Rolling through 13.5, 14 knots. Very interesting. So the wash is really nothing to speak of on this boat. You could actually cruise this boat on the plane as we are right now at 16 knots, and look at that angle behind us. That's just a nice, beautiful triangle and really non-offensive. So what does that mean to you? Like, if you're transiting between the boat and the shore, or going through no wash zones, which, let's face it, there's plenty of them around the place, you can do it. You know, you can do it at a moderate speed and not offend anyone. Anyway, we're not here just to do moderate speeds. I've got the drives down, so I'm just going to give them a little bit of a trim up. There we go. Now I can see a little bit of bow raise, but not hindering my visibility. I'm 5'7", I'm standing at the helm with the bolster up, and I feel good. And let's just come through 18 knots, 18 and a half knots so far. We'll stay inshore for this part of the run. I'm actually going to just increase my speed, find the markers. You always got to do a little bit of mental calculation here on the Gold Coast. There are so many things to hit up here. I think there's two types of boaters in Queensland, those who've run aground and those who will. So now that I'm heading on this side, I'm going to be keeping my green markers to the right and my red to the left. I can see a clean runway. It's nice and early in the morning, but all the surfers and the boaters are already out, and why wouldn't you, because it's about 25 degrees. So a little bit of trim on the drives, taking that speed up through 22 knots now. This is just big boat comfort right now. Noise levels are moderate. I could still be comfortable if I was a guest sitting on this back seat and talking to my mates. Like, this is not, I don't even feel like I need to excessively raise my voice to talk to you. It's obviously a well-insulated engine bay, and at this speed, this 22 knots, it's just nothing to offend anyone whatsoever. But let's take it up a little bit more speed. I'm not going to go wide open just yet. I'm just going to feel the boat. Okay, so now I'm at 24 knots. I'm noticing a little bit of a lowering of the bow just there. So the bow's just dropped a few degrees. Still, apart from the little bit of fiberglass set up on the very front of the boat, I'm not losing visibility, so I don't feel unsafe whatsoever. I'm actually going to try flipping the bolster down. Oh wow, that's also very comfortable. So a little bit of boat wash here. Nothing. So what's that boat wash? Oh yeah, this thing eats it up. All right, we're going to take this offshore as well, so just bear with me while I feel this at the moment. I'll take the speed up. 25 knots there. I feel like there is our fast cruise. That feels quite natural. So 27 knots, a couple of degrees on drive trim. The boat's sitting very happy there, and I reckon from a speed and fuel consumption perspective, you're going to be getting a lot of return on investment, so to speak, at that 27 knot speed range. That's, yeah, you could do this all day. And I mean, this is so many possible functions for this boat. You know, I've spoken about the tender function, I've spoken about the day boat, running around the harbour, that sort of stuff. I would happily use this as a scuba diving platform and just run up and down the coast. Like, no worries. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to slow down here. I'm just going to bring the boat to a stop, and I'm going to try transverse thrust just while there's no boats around me, and see how she behaves in a transverse thrust scenario. Then I'm actually just going to take off and head out to sea and bring you guys along with me, and we'll see how that experience is. Okay, so coming off the plane there, I'm just, again, very impressed and surprised at the lack of wash this boat creates for a 42-foot hull. That just speaks for the underwater profile. So I got the drive centered here. I'm just going to do one in reverse, one in forward. Okay, now when you're doing this maneuver, you always got to remember, like, we are here physically located in the middle of the boat, but all the action is taking place down the back. So once you've made that sort of mental calculation, you can start to get your spatial awareness happening by moving your head around and just focus your throttle hand on the throttles one at a time, and that's easy. So that just tells me pulling into a vessel or a dock is going to be an absolute piece of cake on this boat. And let's face it, if you bugger it up, it's ribs, so you can just bump into it anyway. So, not a problem. Now I'm going to keep green on the left, red on the right, heading this direction, and then we're heading straight out to sea. So let's do this. I think let's get back to that favourite 27 knot speed range. And let's go find some waves and roll her through a few waves, get some turns happening, and just see how this thing behaves. Got a little powerboat wash coming on my starboard side now. Not even noticing it. Irrelevant. So, 18 knots there. Bringing the speed up. Again, 18, 19. Oh yeah. Seriously. If you need something to spend your money on and enjoy life, is this not just the most perfect thing to do? How good's this? I cannot think of a more pleasurable activity on a Tuesday morning. Alrighty, sitting on that 24 knots actually, so I'm gonna call 24 knots our slow cruise. 27's probably our fast cruise, and as I said, you can also just keep the boat on the plane at those much slower speeds of anywhere around that 12 knots. So, you know, this thing, it's going to be very fuel efficient. You're going to get some miles out of it, and remembering it's diesel. So, you know, if you're worried about the safety factor of storing perhaps diesel versus petrol on your mothership, you don't have that concern on this boat because you've got the diesel option. So here we go, got a couple of jet skis up ahead. I'm just going to have to see where they're going. I'm going to hang a wide, turn, stick to the right hand side and exit out to sea. I'm actually going to raise. Oh, that works good too. So if you want a little bit more visibility, I'm just thinking as we exit here, and there are a few surfers that paddle across from left to right, probably put their life at risk every time. So I wanted to increase my visibility sitting up on the bolster. It's a nice solid thick bolster that's very doable. Geez, the quality of these SACS boats, it's top notch. Now this is, I've tested multiple SACS ribs now on my other YouTube channel, Dan's Boat Life. I was just recently out on the Rebel 47, blown away at the quality. And you know, if you want a boat 40, 42, 47, 40 plus feet new, we're talking millions. We're talking absolute millions of dollars to get into a big, impressive rib like that. That's why I think this SACS is a very interesting prospect. There's not many large ribs in the country. You know, we are not like Europe or Greece, places like that, where you see lots and lots of big ribs running around. The majority of fancy ribs in Australia are around that 30-foot size range. So if you want something big, capable, and potentially a little bit impressive, you know, your options are limited unless you spend your $1.5–2 million. So I reckon this is a pretty good option for a lot of people. How cool is this? This guy's on a foiling surfboard, got some fishermen. Can't see any surfers, but I'm just going to sit on that. Oh, here we go, here's a couple of surfers. I won't kill them, we'll go to the left. I can see they're going that direction. God, that's dangerous. Man, that's what I love about Queensland. You know, fun first, safety second. Just paddle your surfboard across the break wall. Yeah, in between all the jet skis and the power boats and the tourist boats and the... Look at these guys. They are legit crazy. That is so funny. Okay, so we've got a couple breaking waves here. I'm just going to slow down a little bit because we're going into a new zone. I'll trim the drives down somewhat. Oop, other way down. My bad. Okay. So I'm exiting at 20 knots there. Not a drop over the bow yet. Couple little rollers here and there. We're talking 2 meters max, and it's going to soften out as we exit this area just here. Coming from about a southeasterly direction, it feels. A couple more rollers here. Oh yeah, here's a nice little steep one. So we'll just go diagonal over that. That's a proper surf wave. And another one. And that's a soft landing, I gotta say. You know, for what is a borderline breaking wave coming out of there. That's a soft landing. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna head south. Let's just have a little explore. So I hit that wave at 20 knots, not a drop of water over the bow. The wave, you know, I've got the forward-facing camera so you can have a look at that in the video, I hope. That would scare a lot of people, but it doesn't scare me on this boat because this thing's just got capability to spare. You know, here we are, we're in ocean conditions now. I'm going into oncoming swell, big rollers, and with the more challenging stuff closer to the entry, but I can sit there at 20 knots, no problems. And now let's wind the speed up a little bit. Little trim up on the drives. Beautiful, beautiful. So I mean, what does this tell me? If you're a Queenslander, you want to go places up and down the coast, no worries, can do on this boat, whether you're just relocating your boat from your main house to your holiday house. If you're a Sydney sider, you know, going from Sydney Harbour to Palm Beach in a heartbeat, no problems whatsoever. And heading up to Port Stephens, you know, do that without a worry. And if you're down in Melbourne or if you're in Perth, you know, getting out to Rotto, oh my God, how good would this be as a Rotto boat? Add some extra sunshade to the front. You've got this area all protected. You know, coming home with the wind behind you, you just have the pace on, and I think you'd have a really great time. So let's just take this thing through a couple of turns. So when you turn the boat, she doesn't have an aggressive heel. She feels quite controllable. So that's a tighter turn, but nothing, there's no aggressive leans in the turn here. That's all very, very controllable. We'll just head out to sea a little bit. We'll speed her up. Yeah, look at this. This is just so good. You know, a lot of ribs that I've driven, you'll be in conditions like this and you have the waves coming in from this angle and they will bounce water up and straight back into the cockpit. But this boat's not doing that, you know. Admittedly, we've got low wind conditions, but we're definitely in the ocean. And, you know, I look at those seats behind me, I look at the sun lounge, it's all dry. There's not a drop of water on the tubes around me, and I'm comfortable. I feel like I could do this sitting down or standing up. I'm not being hindered whatsoever on the visibility side of things, and then I can just point it in straight lines and feel safe and secure. Here we go, let's go down these waves now. I'm doing all this at between 25 and 27 knots. And what I'm going to do, once we get back inshore in the flat water, I'm going to open it up, give it some wide open throttle, and we'll just see what speed we get to. Very good. Now I got to have a little eagle eye here so I make sure I don't miss out any small boats to disappear behind the waves. But easy stuff. You know, this is This is impressive. Oh, I could just imagine all the fun things you could do on this. You know, if you're into everyone's getting into that foil boarding now. Imagine go out with all your mates with your foil boards. You've got more than enough space on the foredeck to set up all your boards. You've got this middle area to hang out in the shade, and then you got the transom to launch. You know, the wing dingers where everyone's doing the inflatable wings. You could launch off the back there, and this could just be your ultimate day platform for doing that sort of thing. Here we go, we're surfing the waves now. Okay, I'm going to go in this way. And just because I'm not a local, I'm just going to stay on the back of this wave here. There we go. Very controllable. I feel I've got the power to accelerate over to the next wave should I get in a funny condition. My steering is quite doable here. I feel safe. It's worth noting that the hydraulics on this steering are being updated. So if it looks like I'm wrestling it a little bit, that's because I am, but that is being fixed. There you go. Simple, safe and operational. Oh my God. I gotta say, everybody's looking at me. Everybody likes this boat. I've just passed about 5 other fishermen in tinnies. There's people on the shore just there. Don't tell me you don't like it, because you do. Everyone loves it when people look and appreciate your boat. And this thing is a head turner. Here we go. More crazy surfers taking the life into their own hands. Yep, just trusting that I'm going to drive around, that I won't chop them up with my 4 propellers. Yep, no worries. That's okay. You get to live today. This is crazy. All right. Okay, we're going in. I think it's time we open this boat up. Let's give it some herbs. Just going to duck around. That guy's going to stay hopefully on my starboard side. I'm clear of the surface. We've got jet skis, one guy on anchor. I'm going this way. Red markers on my left, green on my right. Let's go for it. All right, rolling through 26 knots. I've just got a couple degrees of trim on the drives there. Feeling good, very controllable. Increasing power, 27 knots, 28 knots, 29 knots, feeling good. She tracks very, very comfortably. The wash is about here, just off my side. I'll try raising the bow a little bit. I don't know if you need to do that. I'll just see if that, although that did make a difference on speed return. I'm just sitting on 29 knots there. I'm going to open it up to full wide open throttle when I get around the corner here. Just got one boat. I'm going to let him go across my bow. No, he's going to go that way. Okay. All right, let's hit wide open. Got a jet ski, we're all clear of him. All right, 30 knots. 30 knots and a half. 31 knots. Just double check that that's wide open. Okay, 32 knots. Oh yeah, this feels good. 32 and a half knots. I reckon we get to 33. Yeah, 32 and a half. That's about set trim there. Yeah, 32 and a half. 32 and a half, 2 people on board. Not sure how much fuel we got in the tanks, but you know, the visibility remains fantastic. It really is. Oh, how good's this? Alrighty, I'm going to slow down before I go past these little tenders here so I don't freak them out. Coming off the plane. Well, okay, what's my wrap up on the performance of this SACS 42 rib? This thing's amazing, this thing's capable, and this thing is going to give you a myriad of options. A myriad, is that the right word? I don't know, a lot of options. If you want to cruise around at speeds between 24 and 27 knots, top speeds are 32 knots, but still have the ability to get on the plane at 12 knots, thereabouts, running diesel, fuel efficiently, and easy boat to operate, I think you need to consider this SACS. You know, you're going to have your $1 million looks for less than $1 million. I think that's a bit of an argument worth considering right now. Anyway, we've got a walkthrough video coming on this boat. If you're interested, please follow the link and follow the link in the description. Check that out. My name's Dan Jones. This is the Boat Brokerage. I'll see you on the next one.